Oh, hello there. Today I get to be a scientist. Miss Celia and I are working together to bring English and science together for you today. So sit back and enjoy the English and science lesson.
I'm going to be reading this story called The Little Raindrop. All right? It says, discover an amazing story from the natural world. So cute. Our little raindrop. When I was a raindrop, I lived up in a cloud. One day, thunder rumbled by and boomed out very loud. Come now, little raindrops, get ready to let go. You've got important work to do down in the world below. A flash of zigzag lightning streaked across the sky. Ooh, cried all the raindrops. See you later, cloud. Goodbye. They jumped into the air, and I jumped with them too. Have fun, said Cloud. I wish that I could come along with you. I want us to notice, first grade, that this is not just across the page, right? This is in the shape of like lightning. Wow, and there's squiggly lines. This isn't just your typical story. Down and down we fell, giggling and shouting, whee! Oh, what fun to be a raindrop, flying free. From high up in the sky, we saw the earth below. Sunbeams shone through us and made a lovely big rainbow. After that, quite suddenly, I landed with a splat and dribbled down the tail of a soggy farm cat. I seeped into the soil, tickling down and down, past pink, wriggling worms far below the ground. I saw a friendly mole who was digging by some shoots. Shoop! Before I knew it, I'd been sucked into their roots. I traveled slowly up the stem. It was quite a climb. Hello, smiled the flower bud. You're here just in time. What are you noticing about some of the language? Swoop! Splat! Do you notice that some of these words are sound words? They're called automatopoeia. This way, the flower told me, and then it opened wide. What a nice surprise to see my raindrop friends inside. We had so much fun sharing stories of our day as the warm sun slowly set and the light faded away. We tried to count the stars instead of counting sheep, but the petals were so comfy that we all fell fast asleep. When the morning came, the sun shone hot and bright. We all felt quite peculiar, sort of wibbly and light. Okay, freeze. What happens when the sun comes out and it gets warm? The state of the raindrops are liquid right now. And if you remember from what we've learned already so far in science, if you add heat, something happens. Slowly we drifted upwards. There was no way to resist. For I and all my raindrop friends had turned into a mist. Notice that the raindrops are now floating up into the sky. What's happening? I asked, floating higher with the crowd. The others laughed and said, "We're going back into our cloud." "Welcome back," said Cloud. "I hope you all had fun. It's time for you to rest now that there's a lot of sun. But soon the wind will blow again and turn the weather vain, and you'll have more adventures next time it starts to..." What is it gonna do? Rain! When it rains, all right, the droplets are actually falling down from the sky to the earth, and they go into rivers, they go into streams, they go into our oceans, they can seep into our soil, and just like our little raindrop did in our story, it went into the soil and then it got sucked up into the roots of the thirsty plants. Because as we've already learned in science, plants need water in order to survive, right? And then they get soaked up into the roots and they go onto the leaves, and the warm sunlight then can make them evaporate. And this is our term that we've just learned. Evaporation is when a liquid actually turns back into a gas and goes back into the sky. So you might see the water and then give it a few minutes in the sun, and that water droplet might be gone. This is why after it rains, we have puddles, and then those puddles disappear. Where did they go? The rain just went back into the sky. And the water cycle continues over and over and over again. As those droplets cool down in the sky, okay, the water vapor in the sky, as it gets cooler, they form back into raindrops. And then when clouds get heavy and it turns to rain again, they come back down to the earth. And so it's a constant cycle of going up into the sky, coming down to earth, going up into the sky and coming back to earth. And that's exactly what happened to our little raindrop.
Whoa! That story Miss Celia just read had amazing writing, don't you think? When they were writing, they wrote with words like in curvy, wave-like sentences. They wrote down a lightning bolt. They wrote up stems. They used so many creative ways to write their sentences on the page that really just got me so excited about reading it. And then they also were so exciting because they used a lot of exciting words like splash, wow, bang, boom, woohoo, yowza! And they used exclamation points. They made those big words bolded in capital letters so you knew that you needed to say it with excitement in your voice. Wow, that was just a very interesting story. They used a lot of details. And I think that that story is a great example of wonderful writing. And I wanted to encourage you to use that kind of style in your own writing. You can write your sentences in interesting waves or down lightning bolts or up something. The way you write your stories makes it more interesting for your readers, just like how this video is more interesting because I am using a filter. So use your words to make it more interesting. Don't just write it straight across the page. Get creative. Write it curvy. Write it zigzag. Have a good time with your words and make it match what's happening in the pictures. You can also use those big, bold words that some of you already use with exclamation points to make something very interesting and exciting. You can do that in your writing. And so on Friday, when we have our writing time, I want you to use some of those exciting things we just learned from that story Miss Celia read, and I want you to use it in your writing. So your assignment for today is to find a book at your house. It can be a Thai book or an English book. And I want you to see if that book has those interesting ways to write a sentence, or if it has those exciting bolded words. And I want you to take a picture of it, or I want you to read it to us and send it to your teacher. All right, guys, go and find those cool and amazing books.